Hello out there, YouTubers, and welcome to PE Slick Podcast. I'm your host, Matt here. Each week I'm going to bring you something different in terms of leadership, ministering, entertainment, book authoring, and much more. But before we begin each time, I'm going to be airing a classic throwback commercial from back in the 80s or 90s or 2000s for my personal liking. Stay tuned.
If you just wash with soap and water, you're not getting deep clean. Cooling, tingling Seabreeze clean. Clean so deep you feel it. Seabreeze removes oil, dirt, and makeup soap leaves behind. And when your skin is this clean, you won't be the only one to feel it. Seabreeze, no other clean feels quite like this.
And we're back, folks. Joining me this week is Mr. Billy C. Lonas. Billy is quite an interesting fella who I had the pleasure of communicating with, who has taken a new leaf on life and is now a wonderful singer. He's about to become a top-notch book author. Well, he is a book author, and you know what? But what more can I say, man? He might even be our next president of the United States, you know?
I doubt that.
How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing fine this evening, Matt. Thanks for asking. I hope you are too.
Oh, I'm doing okay. Can't complain. Weather could be a little better, but you know what? I'll take this rain minus snow.
Any day. I lived in Virginia. I live in North Carolina now, but I lived in Virginia, so I know all about snow.
There you go. All right. So to get things started, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Woodstock, Virginia. So that's where it all began. Just traveled up and down the East Coast. As far as life goes, working as an electrician. Ended up here in North Carolina. So I'm from Virginia to answer your question.
Okay. I actually have some family on my grandfather's side that's in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, that's just a stone throw from Woodstock, by the way crow flies. So I'm Woodstock was up in the northern part of the state, probably about an hour out of DC on Interstate 81.
Okay. Cool beans. Who or what would you consider probably be an influence on your life growing up?
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm kind of stumped on that one because I really didn't have, and that would have been my mother, I guess, if we look at it. That definitely was my mother because I've moved around so many times because of my father being an alcoholic. And we didn't have a TV until I got to be like 9, 8. So I didn't have any influences too much, but my mother was primarily dead on. That's all I had. That's all I needed, really.
Right. Okay. So the story that you have wrote, your book, What is Truth? I was just curious, were you someone that always was a writer?
No, here again, my education, I've only have an 8th grade education. I quit school when I was 16 to get away from my father. That's to leave home. I actually ended up moving to Florida to pick fruit. So, I kind of always considered myself, kind of backward. I really had to teach myself to read and write. So, I was always interested in stories, especially songs, songs by Hank Williams Sr., some of the old singers, because they always told stories. So I guess that's how I ended up becoming a writer, because I've got endless stories.
Absolutely. I guess that's one of the questions you brought up when you brought him up, Hank Williams. I was going to say, what kind of music do you like?
Well, Mama had something that we called 45 back in the day. Had a little record player, and you had to put a little plastic piece
Right.
in it to play it. So that's pretty much all I had for entertainment, because I still didn't read all that well, so I couldn't comprehend. So I learned to get into the stories by listening to her 45s, and a lot of them were Hank Williams, Charlie Pride, old singers like that. I can't really remember all of them, but that's how I got input into stories.
Right. When you were describing the record player, I had a flashback thinking, because this was before the technology that we have today with CDs and tablets and all that. Now that was back in the day, kind of started listening to music.
Yeah, that or a radio.
Right.
That was pretty much the technology. we were so old we had to communicate by tin cans and strings. We had a party line, actually. You know, where you would pick up where you'd have several neighbors using the same phone line. So you'd have to, if you wanted to use the phone, you had to wait for them to get off the phone.
Right. Okay. So you wrote excellent music that's on YouTube. Believe in Love, No Win Situation, Let Them Run Free, What Color is Love, Throw Off Your Shoes, Countryman, This Fool's Around. What inspired to write all 7 of those songs? Like, what led to those?
Well, first of all, let me say, Matt, thank you so much for doing your research on my humble self. I really do appreciate that. But here again, to me, each song is just a story. I think you described it once in a text message to me that I'd never heard anybody describe my music before. You said it was narrational. So I think that pretty much sums up. I mean, I try to sing. I don't claim to be a singer. I've never had professional vocal training, but I've never had any training as a writer either. But the stories, the songs are like I said, they're stories. And they're kind of lessons that I've learned in my life. So I use my song to try and continue the message to someone else that might need that message at the time they happen to be listening to my song.
Right. And I have considered them narrational because, like you said, they tell stories, and that's actually a good thing about somebody writing the song, is that they're talking about their past experience, their life story, and they're able to find time to incorporate them into a song. I really did like Believe in Love and This Fool's Around and Countryman.
Well, I appreciate it. I have different people like different songs of mine. But here again, see, that gets back into my style of writing, because a lot of writers try to, tin can their songs. They write to a particular group of people, or a certain people that think a certain way, or into just whatever it is that they're into. But myself, I'm trying to reach the individual. So when I write, I try to write, because I don't care who we are. For human beings, we all have things in common. So you can use a story to show the commonality between the problems that we have, the problems we solve, and the problems that other people cause us, and the problems that we cause ourselves. And that's what I try to do with my songs, because I found that most of the time I've caused my own problems based on the choices that I've made in my life. Not always, but most of the time. So that's what I try to do with my music.
Right.
And my books. Just telling a story from a completely different perspective when it gets to my books. They're a little more in depth because with telling a song, in telling a story in a song, I only have a certain amount of time to convey a message about a particular instant.
Right.
So, but with a book, I can delve into as far as I want to go in explaining what the understanding that I have come to for myself. I'm never going to tell anybody how to believe or what to believe because I don't have that right. Even God does not put that upon us. He leaves it up to us. That's why it's called free will. So, but the books are just more. It contains more information. And my children, I do have a children's book out there. I don't know if I might have told you about that through our conversation prior to this interview. But now that's just a story. Imagine it's a story, but it's a real story based on fears and challenges that we go through, and I kind of designed that for younger people. But also, I'm finding that adults seem to enjoy it as well. So maybe I'm bringing out the inner kid again. I don't know.
that is okay with me here. Now, because like I said, narrational is really cool for me when I hear a song that somebody put together and it's a life story or something based upon something from their life. The other thing I admire about your work is you talked about it, your book, especially What is Truth?
Yes. What was it that you found interesting about it?
Well, for me, because, it's saying what is truth, and you basically leap into a lot of the Bible. And,
well,
go
ahead. No, go ahead.
And I was going to say, a lot of what you talked about came from the Bible, and because that's basically pretty much your intro saying what is truth. Finding the truth is through God.
I don't know of any other truth.
Right.
Let's put it. See, to me, I mean, this is the heart and soul of Billy, and I don't want to put people off by saying this because sometimes when persons claim to be Christians, persons that aren't Christians are put off because Christians have a reputation for being dogmatic, and these laws apply, and they try to cram God down people's throats. But as I stated before, even God doesn't do that. That's why He gave us free will. So I'm hesitant. Excuse me. I'm hesitant to call myself a Christian, not because I'm not Christ-like, because that's what a Christian means. It means to be Christ-like. So I am Christ-like, but I am not what people would term a Christian, because I do not belong to any organized religion, because organized religions, to me, and this is strictly me, everyone has their belief, and that's fine.
Right.
But for me, organized religion is fake. It is not real. It does not tell people about who God is, what He's about, why we're facing the problems that we're facing today, what is going on in the world as far as the events that are now happening. Churches leave you in the dark. Jesus Christ said to be a light. And so I could get into great depth here, but I don't want to get into that because I began teaching, and that's not what this interview is about, teaching about what I know or what I believe. But to put it simply, the whole Bible is about two things, and two things only. And if you think about this seriously, every day with every decision that you make is based on these two things: selfish love and unselfish love. That's what the whole Bible is about. That's what the Garden of Eden, the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, is about. God said, don't eat from the tree. Satan said, eat from the tree. Don't eat from the tree, for Adam and Eve meant that they were obeying God because God was trying to protect them from themselves. Selfish love. When we start putting, as soon as Adam and Eve took of that fruit, which it doesn't matter what the fruit was because that's not important, the act of taking for themselves, even though God warned them not to, because in the day that you eat of this fruit, you will positively die. So they, in order to have this knowledge that Satan told Eve that she would possess, she took of the fruit. So now Adam had named all the animals up until Eve. Well, he wanted Eve, so he took of the fruit. So they turned their back on God. So now every decision that you make, that we make, because this was passed on to us through them, according to the scriptures, every decision you make is based on those two philosophies. And we carry that tree of knowledge of good and bad with us every day that we're alive. Because every decision we make is based on either it's going to benefit us or it's going to benefit others. So now it's not wrong to benefit yourself because you don't want to go over and touch hot stove. But the point is, you had to go over and touch the hot stove to learn that you never want to touch the hot stove again. So out of a selfish act, you learn to be unselfish with yourself, protect yourself from going over there and touching the stove. I'm getting too into deep on that.
No, it's okay. I mean, you're basically explaining some facts here. I mean, one of the reasons why I think people may be lost as far as trying to seek out who God is, not to really go too far off the topic, but bringing back to what you mentioned, is they probably have problems finding the right church because they may not feel comfortable. And, you know, like you said, you have people that may call themselves Christians, but it really does take a good person that is a Christian that's not selfish to really help show somebody the right way and the right path to go. And if you're too uptight, like you know it all, then, you know, and you're not trying to help God somebody, then people are going to continue to be lost. And they really do need the truth.
And I agree with that, Matt. But here's from my perspective, here's the problem. Everyone goes searching for the answers outside of themselves. That's why they go to different religions, or they belong to different political groups, or they do this, or they're with this sports team. They're going outside looking for answers and looking to develop relationships with other people. The problem we as humans have is we don't have a relationship with ourselves first. Because I was forced as a child to live with inside myself. Only my mother, basically, was my other influence. Because, and I'm telling you, because it wasn't like it was now. We were like alone out in the country. So I had to go inward. And that's where the answers lie. Because That's why I say I don't need a church. None of us need a church because it's each one of us individually making our choices for ourselves or for others. That's why Jesus told us, let your light shine. In other words, be a light. The only way you can be a light is through your individual choices, how you live your life. So if you, Jesus Christ came and died for our sins, and he opened up for us something that no other human being prior to him had. And that was the ability to go directly to God through prayer by means of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ eliminated churches. He eliminated governments. You have a direct voice to God. So as you live your life, and if you are truly a Christian, because Christ's whole life was based on what? Was it based on self? No. It was based on others. He gave up a position in heaven to come to earth and live in this miserable world of selfishness that we live in, and was put through what he went through for his 33 and a half years. And the whole time that he was doing this, according to the scriptures, he didn't think of himself except for once. Every other instance, he put others and God before himself. So that's what it means to be Christ-like, to be like Christ. So if you live your life based on unselfish love of giving to others as much as possible, then you are in his church. And it's not a building. It's a lifestyle. It's what you have to choose to be. You can say you're a Christian all day long, but if you're not backing it up, if you're not walking the walk, if you're not talking the talk, then you're not a Christian. I don't care what you say. And neither does Christ. Because Christ said that in the last days, many will come to me, saying, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not expel demons in your name? Did we not do many powerful works in your name? And yet Jesus says to them, get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. I do not know you. But the key is that they came to us in the name of Christ. And there is no other religion on the face of this planet that comes to us in the name of Christ except for Christianity.
You heard it, folks. Billy and gave a very powerful message here. You know, if you were to become a minister, well, I know what you just said, but because your message is very powerful there. I listened to everything you just mentioned about Christianity. What is your plans for the new year, going into a new decade, 2020?
Matt, I'm a very simple person. I just take it at a time, one day at a time, and thankfully God has blessed me with a partner that has enabled me to pursue the music. We're trying to get it out to the public. It's very, if I do say so myself, unique, and I think I have the expertise to say that because I've formed 4 different bands. I don't play a musical instrument myself, so I have to rely on musicians. And most of the time when I get musicians, they tend to copy certain things of other musicians that they've learned to play. But Marvin Wilson is a very talented musician, and he's doing all the musical instruments on my CD except for drums, steel guitar, mandolin, or dobro. So Marvin's also the editor of my children's book, Emmy. That's how I met Marvin. But Marvin now lives with me as my business partner, him and his wife, Safa. And so we're pursuing making the music unique and different, which is a very hard thing to do because there's so much out there. But mainly, I think I'm praying and hoping that what it is about the music is the words, the meaning of the songs, the connection, because as a writer, that's what I'm trying to do. So that's what 2020, I guess, is, that's my plan for 2020 is to hit this music and get it to the public. And I'd like to do more interviews with people that are interested.
Right. Now, before we close, I just wanted to ask you, what advice, given everything that we've talked about, what advice would you give somebody that's, kind of in the same field that you're in, as far as Christianity, looking for God, and trying to find a way to get their words out there? What advice would you give somebody right now?
Matt, it's all I can say is you just keep plugging away, because people are going to try and stop you. This is wrong with what you do. You need to do this with it. And sometimes it's good advice. I mean, you have to improve on what you're doing. I think that's kind of the story of life, that you're trying to improve on yourself every day. So all I can say is people in circumstances are going to jump up and try to stop you from reaching your goals. I'll be 67 years old in February, but I haven't stopped trying. And I may never make it. I don't know, because I don't know what tomorrow will bring. But I know I'm not going to stop trying. So that's all I can tell you. No matter what anybody tells you, no matter what pain you have to go through, if you want it, then you will continue to do it. If you stop and give up on yourself or your dream, which is yourself, then you're not going to make it, because you've already given up on yourself, so no one else can help you.
There you go. You heard them, folks. Fulfill your dream. Don't give up. Billy, I want to thank you for what you've done, for taking the time to come out on my podcast, give some insight, and you really delivered a powerful message tonight. I think fans are really going to be intrigued for more, especially if you had plans to release another book. I'm here with you, man. I really have faith in it, man. Regardless of what happens, man. I know that something's going to come.
Well, I appreciate it, Matt. And do you mind if I plug my website?
Sure. Go right ahead.
If you would like to purchase, you can a song or the CD, which songs are 99 cents a piece, or you can get the whole CD of 12 songs for around $10, and that's at Billy C. Lonas, and that's spelled LONAS.com. So BillyCLonas.com. Or you can go to YouTube and look up Billy C. Lonas, and you can sample some of my music there. I'm working on putting the book on the website, and I said my 2 books, but we'll see how that goes. But thank you so much, Matt. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I hope I haven't bored you to death.
No, sir. No, no. I'm always intrigued and ready to listen, grow, and learn from each person I've talked to in my interviews, including you. So no, you haven't. Billy, thank you for taking the time to come out, and folks, we'll be back after this commercial break.
Oh, this is classic. To take better care of ourselves, I get us the K3 Cycle of Life. And what's your contribution? Waffles. Golden. Delicious. Waffles.
Eggo Nutri-Grain waffles.
Okay, Nutri-Grain
Made
waffles.
with the whole grain.
Yes, fine.
No preservatives, no sugar added.
Hey, these are nutritious.
Eggo Nutri-Grain waffles, also in delicious multi-brand.
Honey, I knew your contribution was just as important.
Ron, Lego my ego.
Yeah.
Well, YouTubers, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in this week for PE Slick Podcast. I'm your host, Ranger Matt, signing off. Until next time, you have a good night now.